Lonerbox reacts to the most unhinged Destiny debate yet. Wait, where does he have a problem with my definition of socialism?
But then there's reality as it actually is.
So I need a timestamp, brother. Why would you go through the trouble of doing AI nudes anyway? Is it not easier to take normal nudes and upload? Believe it or not to gas up our OnlyFans queens. It is a lot of effort to like set up the lighting, do your hair and makeup, get all the angles, take 100 pictures, go through and pick the right ones, you do whatever like digital Facetune or whatever else you need to, like, it's probably easier to just AI it. You can literally be in bed, do that, click a few buttons and do that. Or this is my guess, I guess. I don't know, maybe the AI shit is more complicated than that. Just Control F in the transcript. Nope. He says Europeans have a different understanding of what socialist means. Honest to God, that wouldn't surprise me. I think I've said that though. It's kind of funny, but I think that it's like swapped to where Americans have like a stricter understanding of what socialist means than what Europeans have now. Like, I think if you go to Europe and you say that you're a socialist, I think the average European well, at least in Western Europe, the average European thinks socialist means when the government does more stuff. But now when you go to the United States, you talk about socialism, to a lot of people like the Hassan types, they're like, that's the overthrow of the capital class for the proletariat to rise up and seize the capital and like cast the owners out into the streets. Which is like, it's fucking retarded. I don't know how it switched. He says, no true Scotsman. Wait, how many times did he say this? It's like fucking 5 times. Steven with a PH? Why would it default to that? What? To the left of you without catering to far leftist beliefs, right?
Correct, but you would agree, like, if the socialist is at the top of the ticket, socialists like Bernie Sanders.
I think that's a very... The problem is that Stephen has a very retarded definition of socialism, where he kind of does like this no true Scotsman, where he just thinks like everything that isn't like establishing a socialist society means you can't be a socialist. So anyone who...
Well, yes, but I don't think that's a no true Scotsman. I think definitionally, I think that's true. If you are a socialist, then the goal is to always establish a socialist society. If you're not trying to establish a socialist society, then why would you call yourself a socialist? That seems kind of strange, no?
What, like, there's a problem there, though, right? It's like, one, Wittgenstein, the meaning of a word is in its use. There's been 100+ years long tradition of people calling themselves socialists, even though they don't do things that are incompatible with capitalism, right? So if someone says, for example, I want to nationalize healthcare, does that make you a socialist? Well, back in the day, it did, actually. People who did want to do that. Like, if you want to take something from the market into public, that transitional period, that would be like a socialist action because you're socializing.
I'm probably not going to disagree with anything he says here. The issue is one of definition, but my primary issue is that, like, if the definition of socialist in the United States was just the government does more stuff, or we take some things out of the market and we put it into the hands of the government, then I don't know. I have no problem with that, I guess, if people want to call themselves socialists. The problem is that there's a healthy number of people that think that socialist is that, and they call themselves socialists, but there's a growing number of people that are influential online. I still think they make up a very small percentage of real life people, but there's a growing number of people online who use that definition as like a disguise, but in reality, they are actually like commies, like hardcore, like ML types that want to overthrow the capital class and have like a violent revolution. Anybody that says the word revolution, that's a more extreme. That's not like a liberal suck them. That's like somebody else who's like masquerading as a liberal with a more insidious plot, in my opinion.
The thing, but does it make the society that you're building socialist? No. And this is kind of how people distinguish themselves, like at least in history. Definitely in Europe. And like, you know, in Europe, like Labour Party, right now, there are people in the Labour Party to this day who call themselves socialists, in Keir Starmer's Labour. Because again, there were a couple of things that they nationalized, right? Like the allocation of funds to energy companies was nationalized. So I think were the railways nationalized, but not the...
I don't know if he'll address this later. I'm not going to watch this whole 4-hour thing. I probably agree with most of what Lonerbox says. Also, Lonerbox has a special ability when he brings up the no true Scotsman fallacy, because he is a Scotsman, so he should have more firsthand experience with it.
Allocation of funds to energy companies was nationalized. So I think were the railways nationalized, but not the trains, or was it the other way around? Yeah, like that was a thing as well, and that was a means of production, right? So I think moving things from private to public is something that people who call themselves socialists have done for over 100 years. You're probably not bucking that trend as a streamer.
Sure. Like, I don't necessarily disagree with that. It's just the issue is like the people that masquerade as these like liberals who are very much not liberal is the issue that I have. You know, I don't know if I disagree with most of what he says here. I'm not sure.
aforementioned Alex Jones has some concerns about his president that I'd like to share with you.
Trump has got great genetics. He's tough. And if he takes care of himself, he can make it through these years and then after. But if he doesn't, he's going to have, I predict Trump is going to have some type of collapse within the next 12 months at the current trajectory.
So he's a collapse is coming in the next 12 months for Trump.
Did you watch this whole segment, by the way?
I've got more. More is to come. First, I want to know if you have any thoughts about the collapse coming in the next 12 months.
It sounds exciting. First, I'm thrilled to hear it. Alex Jones was ahead of the curve probably on all things Biden's health. Unfortunately,
That's true.
We should probably
That's
admit
a
that.
good point.
We should probably admit that.
When did the definition become people call you that? People use the extreme as an invective all the time. Just because people call the ACA socialism, that doesn't make it so. It was an insult. It used to be, but now people, at least on the far left, don't view socialism as an insult. It's like a thing that's desirable. So now they have taken to calling the ACA like, oh, that was kind of a form of socialism. Or if they say it's not socialism, it's because they say the ACA didn't go far enough. It's kind of a weird switch up. Again, words are defined by use, right? Depending on how people use words is depending on how words are interpreted. That's just obviously there's no universal dictionary that is prescribing to us as humans like how words ought to be used. It just depends on how people use them in society. The only issue that I have, I'm okay with this 99% of the time. The only issue I have is when people are playing these games. Like Hassan plays the game of presenting himself as like this liberal, but he's a tanky, right? And it allows people to masquerade in public as a liberal who's, oh, I'm a sock down, I just want like cheaper healthcare. But then when they're converting people, they are admittedly, right, again, he said openly on shows, like my goal is to radicalize people and funnel them down a radicalization pipeline, you know?
The ankles from Alaska, they're straight on shot. They are big. They are swollen. I mean, they are like real.
Fascinating. As an Eastern European, we definitely do mean socialism strictly the way you do. Only Europeans who didn't go through actual. Sure, that's why I said Western Europe. It's because I'm sure that like your Soviet satellite states or ex-satellites or whatever probably feel a bit differently about the word than Western Europeans. Sure. Sorry.
The ankles from Alaska, they're straight on shot. They are big. They are swollen. I mean, they are like really big. I mean, they look like my neck's 19 and a half inches.
That's a big neck.
Like that. His ankles look like they're about 15 inches around. That's not a good sign for the heart and the rest of the body because the rest of him, he's lost weight. He's not that fat. So Trump really needs to exercise and take care of himself. Yeah, that's not good.
Jesus.
Oh, someone make a
Christ.
TikTok audio out of that. That is good.
Please.
The cankles are getting fucking thick.
What is faster, sound or light? Type of question is it?
Sound.
Think so?
That's what yours is did.
The
Hold
sound was moving?
Let's see.
Hold on.
I think sound, bro. That was fast as fuck though. I ain't gonna lie.
That light was kind of moving though.
Now that time that light was moving. Let's do 1-1 then. 1-1.
Let me give it a head start.
Sound, bro.
Sound?
The sound, bro. Ta.
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 Ta. Dude, that was a ta too.
I feel like they're probably trolling guys, okay? Somebody's saying Trump couldn't even stand at the White House today?
Thank you. Thank you so much. Thank you. Appreciate it. Appreciate it. This is what they really like. And I respect talented people. Thank you. Appreciate it. Okay.
You know, the saddest thing is that, like, we have every indication that Trump could die of some heart-related disease in office, but conservatives will still call it a conspiracy theory. If they'll still call it a conspiracy theory if he dies, right? Like, the guy has literally said that he doesn't believe in exercise.
Did you know that Donald Trump...
Why? I can't can just find a clip of him saying this. Bro, fuck YouTube search. When is Google gonna fix this?
You want to know my exercise mantra?
No.
Run only when chains. My exercise is playing, almost never during the week, a quick round of golf. Obama.
Doesn't he say this? I feel like he says this out loud. He thinks that the body is like a battery, and if you exercise, you're just like draining the battery. Not to mention all the fast food and everything else. Are you going to cover the Adam Friedland blackface accusations? Isn't it public, or I don't want to leak anything. When I was in New York City and we were doing a show or whatever, I went to eat with his family. Adam Friedland's mom is black, so I'm pretty sure he's okay to do stuff like that. No? I thought, isn't this well known? New video shows a police officer drawing his gun and on a high school student for allegedly carrying a firearm. Destiny, to be fair, I do not understand why being sedentary makes your heart work harder than if you are active. I don't know if it's about, I don't think being sedentary makes your heart work harder. I think it's being sedentary over a long period of time just makes your heart weaker in general. So like if your heart is stronger in general, then it can do stuff, especially as you age. Yeah. One of the, I think one of the most important like protection factors for injury and a whole bunch of other health things growing into like your old age is like having some muscle on your body. It's protective against injuries because you won't like fall over and hurt yourself. In general, it's good for like your hormones, and it helps you sleep easier, and it helps you have like better cardiovascular health and breathing and everything. It helps generally if you're lifting weights. It strengthens your bones and your joints, so it can help with like osteoporosis. Ideally, you're eating a little bit better if you're working out. And usually people that do stuff in the gym are more flexible, and flexibility is a huge factor in a lot of injuries too. So adding muscle, especially for older people, I think strength training is really, really, really important. There's a lot of like weird things that are said about different types of training. Like if you go to the gym and you lift weights, that's like the bro stuff, but like cardio is the only thing you should do if you're getting older. But like having muscle and being flexible, I think is really important for older people for staving off injuries as well. Having muscle is probably one of the biggest like protective factors in terms of like falling over and injuring yourself growing older. You should do it all, I think, probably, right?
Get on the ground. Get on the ground. Get on the ground now. Get on the
Jesus.
Yeah. Get on the ground. Get on the ground. Get on the ground now. Get on the ground. I ain't got nothing on my hand. Get on the ground. Nigga, I ain't got nothing on my hand. Nigga, fuck you want me on the ground, folks? Get on the ground. Hell no, nigga, I ain't get on the ground, nigga. I need you now. Relax. Yo. You guys exit.
Guys, exit now. Go. Get to the middle class.
Oh, shit.
Go.
Yeah.
He had a gun, by the way. Did he? One of the, I don't want to get into police memes, but one of the dumbest things about the way these videos start is like you have to hear the police call to know why the officer is responding the way it is, because it can go from being completely and totally inappropriate to much more understandable, right? Like the reason why people get swatted is because when people make phone calls, they make the phone calls necessary to get the cops to like break a door down and to like show up with guns and everything. It's not like, are the cops acting wrong because they are, busting into some poor dude's house with guns drawn, even though the guy's not a threat? Well, I mean, they're responding to a call that's saying there's like some lethal event going on, The student was found in possession of a firearm in his backpack after the altercation, damn. But I don't know what they were called for here. So it could have been okay, could have been not okay, who knows? Who knows?
Let me start this week by addressing something. I wish I didn't have to, but it seems I do. As many of you know, in my last episode, I sat down with hip-hop legend G Herbo, and it sent shockwaves throughout the culture. It seems like many of those in the establishment didn't take too kindly to a new face, breakdancing his way in to the hip-hop and R&B space. My name has been dragged through the mud subsequently. My reputation has been brought into question. Most notably, libelous claims were levied at me by prominent anti-Semitic DJs, Vlad, and academics.
Well, I kind of think it was really more the bozo who was doing the interview. Right? What was his name?
I don't know his name.
Friedman or some
oh shit!
It's like one of these like
he wanted
he has a Jewish kid that probably got beat up, and finally has a little bit of a voice and is trying to be tough because he actually called you a bitch on Twitter or stuff like that.
Well, of course
he called you a bitch in the interview too.
Well, he's trying to engage with me. I wouldn't. We already got the dossier on him. We got him doing blackface all the time. So I just don't.
What?
Yeah, we just don't engage.
What?
I got
the
blackface.
Come on. Yo, show me the picture. Show me. I want to see this shit.
Vlad, let me tell you.
Fuck that guy. Because I said, hey man, I heard you want to debate. Hit me. I said, your platform or mine? Let's go.
Vlad.
He didn't respond. Show me the blackface.
This is him.
Okay. No.
Come on now.
Look at this.
Yeah, listen, we keep the files.
Look at this. Look at this.
We keep the files on him.
Look at this.
So like,
well, you're a racist. Now, fuck you.
Now, this allegation shocked me. Anyone who knows me knows that I hate racism. But if there's anything I hate more than racism, it's blackface. I've never participated in it, and I've cut people out of my life for putting it on. So when it comes to blackface, I have a zero tolerance policy. So I went looking. I looked for an answer to how this image could possibly exist. I scoured the dark web for hits. I consulted with ranking members of law enforcement. I even considered perhaps that this photo was of a real African American that looks exactly like me. In the end, the perpetrator was right under my nose. Who is this Judas Iscariot? Turns out it was none other than true crime podcaster Brace Belden. Now, to avoid litigation, my lawyers negotiated a recorded statement by Mr. Brace Belden himself, where he explains that this whole situation was entirely his fault. And I will play it for you now.
This video is addressed to DJs, academics, and Vlad. My name is Brace Belden, and I wish we were meeting under different circumstances. I've been a tremendous fan of both of your work for as long as I can remember. Sometimes it feels like I'm on an amazing train being conducted by the two of you that's filled with art, drama, music, rappers, and mafiosi alike. I've learned a lot of lessons, and one of the big lessons that I've learned is that I need to stand up for the truth no matter how unpopular that might be. On a recent episode of one of your shows, I could not tell which, but you boys were both there, DJ Academics shows DJ Vlad a hurtful picture on his phone of a comedian named Adam Friedland wearing both blackface, as DJ Academics tells it, and a cowboy hat. Now, DJ Academics, I know that you have a fidelity to the truth, and you wouldn't say anything that...
What? This is a funny picture.
Now, DJ Academics, I know that you have a fidelity to the truth, and you wouldn't say anything that you didn't believe. And so I have to let you in on a little bit of information that might damage my reputation, but at least will help burnish you with facts. I made that picture. And that's not a picture of Adam Friedland wearing blackface. That's a picture of Adam Friedland wearing a cowboy hat that I ran through a filter of an application called FaceApp in the summer of 2017. I want to stress that Adam had nothing to do with that picture. There may well be, and there probably are, many pictures of Adam Friedland wearing blackface out there. And if you want to damage his reputation, or end his career, or even his life, I won't stand in your way. But that picture is not of Adam Friedland wearing blackface.
So to the DJs, Vlad, and academics, I'm here to stay. And I'm actually a pretty good guy once you get to know me. I've been to too many funerals over petty squabbles like this. So here's your olive branch. Meet me, face to face, here on the Adam Friedland Show. Before Twitter fingers turn to trigger fingers, let's sit down like men. And I can't wait to see you soon. And our guest today is Logic. He's a rapper as well. So please enjoy the show, guys. We'll be right back.
Wait, is DJ Vlad... Is that DJ Vlad, or is DJ Vlad like a nickname for DJ Ack? No, it's the right guy? No, Vlad TV? Okay, I don't know fucking Vlad TV is. Damn. I feel like DJ Academics on Adam Friedland's show would be good memes. But maybe the other guy would too, and I just don't know anything about him.
Wake up at 1 a.m. in the freezer. Gargle piss. Uncomfortable? Good. Listen to 5 self-improvement podcasts at once as you drag a tire to work. Fire ants in a diaper to keep you going. Ex-wife calls. Says you can't visit the kids this weekend. Good. They only slow you down. Get to work, gargle more pee. Do work on Chinese keyboard. Don't know Chinese? You will. Broken glass for lunch. Boss comes in, says you're falling behind. He doesn't understand. He can't. He isn't a wolf in this world of sheep. Get hit by 3 cars on the way home while listening to audiobooks at 2 times speed. New record. Legs broken? Good. Pass out on kitchen floor. Roaches kissing you all over. They understand the grind. Set alarm for 1 a.m. and drift into a coma while listening to ASMR.
Jesus. Wait, is this the guy that does the... It is the guy that does this. We should be watching this like once a month. I love this video so much.
Belex Fridman, the one-man question asking machine. Literally wake up pondering the meaning of life. Sip kombucha while contemplating consciousness during breakfast. Scroll through Twitter. What's the meaning of this tweet? Blocked. Tesla tries to recruit, but nah, gotta ask people about love and stuff. Head to Podcast Studio, the Temple of Inquiry. Walls covered in existential questions written in the ink of Joe Rogan's third eye. Get bored. Unblock someone from Twitter just to block them again. The cycle of life and death. Blocking algorithm so tight, people think it's the next Bitcoin. Bro, open source your blocking algo. Please, bro. You don't understand, bro. Just open source it, bro. Bring on Elon, Naval, and some 4D chess grandmaster. What is love but an algorithm of the soul? String. Echo mind blown ampersand pseudo system. CTL restart simulation dot service. Tweet out, what's the nature of tweeting? Block a few more anons. Joe Rogan nods approvingly in a parallel universe. Deepfake myself just to ask deeper questions. Go to bed in a Faraday cage to protect those valuable thoughts. Dream in recursive, self-improving algorithms. Wake up in a cold sweat, eyes wider than when I ask about love. My feel when just had an existential nightmare about the universe being a neural net trained by Elon. Dreams are now blocked. 403 forbidden. Yeet on a 10K run at 4 a.m., chased by philosophical dilemmas.
Based. I need to get, fuck. I need to get, I need to log into like a fucking Instagram account on this computer so we can watch stuff. APS statements on guns found on campuses. While the incident, wait, this is August 20th. Why did I get linked this? Albuquerque Public Schools. Was this where that one cop thing just happened that we watched? Albuquerque Public Schools police seized 4 guns from 2 APS campuses today in unrelated incidents. We are outraged that firearms were brought onto our campuses, but grateful that the system we put in place to keep our campuses safe worked. Public schools police. Are these middle schools or high schools? Why the fuck are people bringing guns onto... Jesus. At West Mesa and Albuquerque High. A teacher at West Mesa High School activated his Centegix alert badge after being informed that a student was seen with a gun in the bathroom. Why do we have special alert badges for our public school teachers? Oh, for gun incidents, Jesus Christ. The school resource officer and school administrator responded to the classroom immediately. The student was detained following a brief altercation. The gun was found during a subsequent search of the student's backpack. I hope he at least had it in a trigger protective holster. Jesus. After students and staff were notified of the first incident, an individual reported that another student at the school might have a gun. APS police and school administrators searched the students and found the gun. The student was detained. An Albuquerque High School staff member overheard that a student could be in possession of a gun. A member of the administrative staff located the student, conducted a search of his backpack, and found the weapon. The student was detained. Albuquerque High officials received information that another student could be in possession of a weapon. Administrative and security officers quickly reacted, searched the student's backpack, and found a handgun. That student was detained. What the fuck is going on here? What the fuck? Meme.
Drive on the left side of the
we've seen this one.
So in Britain, you guys drive on the left side of the street? That sure is peculiar, huh?
When at least our schools are not a showing gallery, mate!
So what you call chips, we call French fries. Wow, that is wild.
Funny you would say that, coming from the guy whose children are getting slaughtered in school.
What do you call cigarettes? Ooh, we couldn't use that word for cigarettes. No, that wouldn't really fly here.
Laugh it up! At least our schools are not like the Call of Duty video game where people are being shot to death with guns.
Thank you.
We have some major breaking news to run down.
Major breaking news.
The department.
Somebody linked this, the 5-hour transcript. Or not transcript, but the recording, I guess.
Today's date is Thursday, July 24th. This will be the recording of a proffer agreement of Ghislaine Maxwell from the Deputy Attorney General, DOJ. And the time is currently 9:16.
Jesus.
Department of Justice has officially released the audio files and the transcript for the behind closed doors conversation that Deputy Attorney General Todd Blanche had with Ghislaine Maxwell roughly 1 month ago. We've been waiting for the audio files or any sort of transcript, and now we have both. I just want to start this off with some moral clarity here. There's a brazen contradiction, a confliction of interests when it comes to Ghislaine Maxwell and Donald Trump. Trump has repeatedly said over and over that he will not rule out pardoning Ghislaine. Not only will he not rule that out, but he's kind of going soft on her. So Ghislaine then has the incentive to not incriminate Trump or anybody around him. And what she says, the wording that she uses in this transcript is very, very odd. Before we break this all down and lay the groundwork, I'm going to let Fox News do some of the talking for me because Will Cain actually explains pretty well how there are perverse incentives at play.
Does she have any incentive to be completely forthcoming? Or is there incentive for her, perhaps in seeking a pardon, to not share the truth? What do you make of her credibility?
And that's the question people are going to have. She's a convicted felon. And so how much do you rely on the testimony that she's providing? I mean, that's one of the #1 questions that her critics are going to have. How much does the DOJ or any entity that is a law enforcement entity rely on the testimony of somebody who's a convicted felon? So like I said, that last little tidbit that's been unearthed where she says, I never saw any bad behavior with any of these men. Now maybe she said something to the...
Is he in a fucking airport? No, this is his mansion, okay? There are private flights that go in and out sometimes. This guy's a YouTube billionaire.
In fact, I might have a different interpretation of that if somebody's getting handsy, that kind of thing. But I didn't see anything with any inappropriate people, male or female. I just didn't see it. So that then starts to flag for a lot of people a credibility issue because we are told from victims all over the place, I mean, dozens of them, that there were years of this stuff and that she was, by their allegation, implicit and aware of what was going on.
So she claims in this interview, if you read the transcripts, that she never saw, #1, Epstein around anybody underage, but also Trump around anybody underage. The first one is just a brazen lie. And I do want to point out that Ghislaine Maxwell is known for being a liar. Kyle Griffin points out, here's how prosecutors described Ghislaine in a pretrial motion during her criminal trial. This reads, quote, the defendant's willingness to brazenly lie under oath about her conduct, including some of the conduct charged in the indictment, strongly suggests her true motive has been and remains to avoid being held accountable for her crimes. I mean, of course, she's a despicable human being who is self-interested and has no self-awareness. Of course she doesn't want to be held accountable. I mean, it's human nature for someone like Ghislaine Maxwell to want to stay out of prison. And what we see is her making that move, moving that chess piece. And I'm sure there's a team of lawyers helping as well. But let's read some of this. So Jacob points out on Twitter, on day 1 of Ghislaine Maxwell's interview, she said one of Jeffrey Epstein's clients was a mysterious Ohio billionaire whose name she couldn't remember. She told Todd Blanche she'd try to remember for tomorrow. On day 2, it just never came up again. Nobody brought it up, which kind of raises more questions than it answers. Why is the Attorney General and the Deputy Attorney General doing such a sloppy job in this interview that she is not only allowed to brazen...
Couldn't you just like bring in like a lineup or like pictures and have them identify? How many billionaires are there in the United States that are women? Like 6? How many female billionaires are there United States? Okay, I'm sorry, there are 120 female billionaires. Like, it can't be that hard to run them down, no?
brazenly lie and contradict herself, but she hints towards having secret knowledge.
In Ohio, too.
of some Ohio billionaire, and then the next day, it never comes up. The question is never raised again. David Marcus says, we'll probably meet tomorrow. Ghislaine says, but you can find them. I mean, if you basically find a billionaire female. Todd Blanche says, so the woman in Ohio who's wealthy that you worked with. Ghislaine says, and well, you can identify her yourself because she has the largest Klein painting. That was huge. So you can find her because it'll be in a museum. Todd Blanche says, okay. Ghislaine says, so that's her. Todd Blanche says, and so that was one of Mr. Epstein's clients? And Ghislaine says, yes. She says, yes. It never comes up again. They never follow up. They never ask any more questions. What about this? As Harry Sisson points out, Ghislaine admitted that she and Epstein went to the spa at Mar-a-Lago and they'd go alone. Reminder, when Trump was on Air Force One not long ago, he admitted that Epstein would try to find people at the Mar-a-Lago spa. So let's just read this. And by the way, I'm currently in Denver Airport on a layover. I'm going to be in Omaha tomorrow, Omaha, Nebraska, speaking with Senator Elizabeth Warren. You can click the top link in the description. Yesterday,
why is Warren going to Omaha?
I was in Nashville, Tennessee. I did a really fun debate that you guys will...
Is this an interview or a deposition? And could she be charged with perjury if she was found to be lying? Could she be charged with perjury if she was found to be lying? I'm not sure. I think they said at the beginning of the deposition it's called a proffer agreement or something. So I think like for when you're doing this testimony, you can't be charged with a crime for anything that you divulge in this deposition. But if you lied about what you divulged, I'm not sure. Wait, proffer agreement. Let me see if this is... Defendant provides information to the government about their own involvement or others' criminal activity in exchange for potential reduction in their own sentence. Okay. Proffer agreement. Can you... What if you... I feel like, no, you can't lie. That defeats the whole purpose of it, right? It's a fundamentally breach of the agreement. A result of the government using your statements against you. Lying can invalidate the proffer. That's what the AI says. Okay. I'm going to go with that.
See you soon. 2 days ago, I was on CNN.
The Federal Reserve has a meeting in Omaha soon. Gotcha.
So I haven't been home in like a week. Honestly, I kind of enjoy it. I kind of love it. So let's read this. Deputy Attorney General Todd Blanche says, did you go there alone or with Mr. Epstein? And they're referring to Mar-a-Lago. Ghislaine says, mostly alone. Todd Blanche says, do you know where? And then Ghislaine says, in the times I went there, it was for an event, maybe once or twice. Todd Blanche says, and do you know whether Mr. Epstein ever went there? And Ghislaine has this weird paragraph where she admits that they went to the spa together, but she's clearly stuttering a lot. She says, I believe he did, but again, we really were. He didn't take me with him all the time. So he would go and, oh, right, well, he did from time to time, but he would go alone. I think he would maybe himself go to the spa. I certainly did. And it's just a very, very odd statement from Ghislaine Maxwell at a time when, please remember, right after this interview took place, Ghislaine was moved from a maximum security prison to a minimum security prison, an all-women's prison.
Macy Donahue.
An all-women's prison. And Midas Touch even points out, Trump's DOJ, after they transferred Ghislaine Maxwell.
Denise York and Norma Lerner are the only two billionaire women in Ohio, according to Google. It seems pretty easy to find out who she meant, LOL.
Then transferred a woman out of the facility that Ghislaine Maxwell is being held after this other inmate criticized there being a sex offender in this facility. This reads, inmate at Ghislaine Maxwell's cushy new prison is booted to a different prison, to a grim lockup after she slammed Ghislaine Maxwell in an interview. There's some weird protection going on, but that doesn't stop people from like Marjorie Taylor Greene from saying, Ghislaine Maxwell says President Trump was never inappropriate with anyone and was a perfect gentleman in all respects. Now, Turd Boy points out, in this very same interview, Ghislaine Maxwell claims she is a victim and compares her situation to the Salem witch trials. He says, if you believe Ghislaine's story about Trump, then you also have to believe she's innocent. You cannot have it both ways. I also just want to point out the fact that Ghislaine Maxwell claims she has never personally seen Donald Trump in any inappropriate setting during this interview. But number one, she's very incentivized to say that. That's the groundwork that Fox News laid perfectly for me. But number two, we know that he was in inappropriate settings. Let me read this.
What is even the point of her trying to save face for Trump? There's absolutely no way he will pardon her. It would make him look insanely bad. I mean, I feel like at this point Trump could do basically anything and survive with his audience, so.
Excerpt from a New York Times article. It reads, in 1992, an NBC News camera captured the pair at a Mar-a-Lago party that featured cheerleaders from the Buffalo Bills who were in town that weekend for a game against the Miami Dolphins. Months later, Trump hosted a party at Mar-a-Lago for young women in a so-called calendar girl competition.
Ladies and gentlemen, first we're doing a media voting for Beckenville at 1761 here at B7. The doors are closed shortly for Beckenville.
Based.
Here at B7.
Mr. Epstein was the only other guest. The only other guest. So in 1993, there was a privately held party with Donald Trump, a bunch of calendar girls, who knows how old they were, and Jeffrey Epstein. Mr. Horaney, another Florida-based businessman who arranged the event, said he was surprised that the only other person on the guest list was Jeffrey Epstein. I said, quote, Donald Trump, this is supposed to be a party with VIPs. You're telling me it's just you and Epstein. Mr. Horaney's then-girlfriend and business partner, Jill Harth, later accused Mr. Trump of sexual conduct on the night of the party. Both of them accused him. Both of them said that it happened. Not just one of them. Both of them came out and said this happened the night of the party. So Ghislaine Maxwell can sit there behind closed doors talking to Trump's personal lawyer turned deputy attorney general and say that she has never personally seen anything. But we know that they were at this party together. What about this? Why?
Well, I mean, maybe she didn't personally see that, right? No? Maybe? I don't know. Don't care. Nothing interesting will come of this. Somebody says that in the first few minutes he explains everything.
Today's date is Thursday, July 24th. This will be the recording of a proffer agreement of Ghislaine Maxwell from the Deputy Attorney General, DOJ, and the time is currently 9:16. Maxwell and counsel are arriving to the U.S. Attorney's Office, and we will commence the proffer shortly.
I'm going to ask you to put the name on the record, please.
Good morning. My name is Assistant Special Agent in Charge Spencer Horn of FBI New York. Today we're doing a proffer of Ms. Maxwell. The date is July 24th, and the time is 10:12 a.m. This interview is being recorded.
And my name is Todd Blanche. I'm the Deputy Attorney General. And before we start formally asking questions of Ms. Maxwell, I'm going to put on the...
You don't have to grant this destiny, LOL. Grant any... What? I don't know if Ghislaine observed every single improper thing that Trump did. I don't know if she was fucking there or not. It has nothing to do with sweeping or granting or whatever. I don't know.
record everybody that's in this room, in addition to me. Starting with you, Diego Pastana, Associate Deputy Attorney General. And then you heard from Special Agent in Charge Horn. Mark Beard from the United States Marshal Service is here as well. And then David.
Yes, this is David Oscar Marcus, and I'm counsel for Ghislaine Maxwell.
My name is Leah Sapian, and I'm counsel for Ghislaine Maxwell.
My name is Melissa Madrigal, and I'm counsel for Ghislaine Maxwell.
Go ahead.
And I'm Ghislaine Maxwell.
Good morning, Ms. Maxwell. How are you?
Good morning, Mr. Blanche.
Good. Okay, so before we started recording, we met for a few minutes. I introduced myself, and we chatted, and now I told you that we were going on the record. And before we start asking questions, I know that you've been given by your lawyer a copy of what's called a proffer agreement, and I just want to spend 2 minutes making sure that you understand what governs our conversation today. The most important part of this agreement is that this isn't a cooperation agreement, meaning that by you meeting with us today, we're really just meeting. I'm not promising to do anything. I'm not promising to ask Judge Nathan or any of the judges that's been assigned to your case to do anything. We're just talking, and so that's the most important part of this agreement. However, almost as important is the fact that what this agreement does for you is it gives you protection. So what it means is that the government cannot use what you say today against you, with some exceptions, which we'll talk about in a minute. But whatever you talk about today, you have what's called immunity. So that means that the words that you say today, we cannot use against you in a case in chief if we were ever to bring one. Okay?
Thank you.
There's exceptions to that. The most meaningful one of which is that if you say something today that's not true, that's a lie, we can bring a prosecution against you for what's called false statements. So I'm a federal officer. I have several officers here. The FBI is here, and if you lie to someone that's like me or like Special Agent Horn, it's a crime. So you have to be truthful. The other exception to this that doesn't necessarily apply directly to you, but if there ever was a retrial in your case, or if there ever was a criminal case, a future criminal case against you, and your lawyer or you said something different or took a position that's different than what you say today, we can then cross-examine you or witness based upon what you say today. So it's a little bit nuanced, meaning I can't use what you say against you in our case in chief. However, if you were to testify, or if your lawyer called a witness to testify, and they said something that's totally different than what you say today, we could then cross-examine you or the witness and say, hey, do you remember when we met with Ms. Maxwell back in July of 2025? She told us, and then say what she said. Okay?
I understand.
Okay. Other than that, I know you didn't have a lot of time this morning to meet with Mr. Marcus, but did you have a chance to?
Okay. If she had the reason why this is also pointless, because if she had something like this to offer, I feel like this would have been part of the prosecution. I think they would have, or the defense, they would have offered something like this up initially. So I doubt anything being said here is anything new that they haven't heard already. It's just now we have a public transcript of it, so.
They're releasing the Epstein files. Important Ghislaine Maxwell, a newly released DOJ interview transcript, says she does not believe that Epstein committed suicide. I do not believe he died by suicide, no. Wow. So they...
But I wonder what she says about that. What was the .gov that had the transcript? This. I'm just curious what she says. Why did I control transcript? All right, I wrote down some names because I tried to make, I just want you to understand my memory's not as good as it was because when I was in Brooklyn, I was in the SHU for almost 2 years, and I was on suicide watch for almost 2 years, which meant that they woke me up every 15 minutes for the entire time, and it really did affect my ability to understand. Okay, don't worry about this. So this is an interview, but if I'm wrong, forgive me. Okay, do you have a view of Mr. Epstein of whether he committed suicide or whether something else happened? Can we take a break? Want to take a break? Yeah, sure. Yeah, we can take a break. Yeah, sure. You mentioned Ehud Barak. Jesus. Wait, where'd the suicide thing go? What the fuck? Okay, all right. So we took a break when we were talking about Mr. Epstein and his death. Oh, bless you. That's okay. Take your time. So Mr. Epstein and his death. So you were not obviously at the MCC during that time, correct? Thank you. Oh, thanks. I thought you were giving it to him. I've got something that blew up my nose. Just take some water. It's okay. No problem. Okay. You were not at the MCC during this time, correct? I was not. So you're going to tell us what you believe, but I just want to make sure I understand your basis for belief is kind of what you've read and seen and your knowledge of Mr. Epstein for the many years you knew him, right? And actually, there's a third component, okay? The answer to that is yes, okay? And there's a third component to that, which is having experienced now the mismanagement and inefficiencies and total dereliction of duty at the Bureau of Prisons. From BOP, from the Bureau of Prisons, yes, okay, fair, okay. So, what I do want to be careful about is, asking you to speculate because anybody can do that. And I don't think that's fair to you or anybody else to ask you to give us that kind of opinion. But do you think that the third point you say, which is kind of a failure by the BOP, there's an OIG report, there's a Southern District of New York investigation about that. Do you think he did not die by suicide, given all the things we just talked about? I do not believe he died by suicide, no. And do you believe that? Do you have any speculation or view of who killed him? No, I don't. And I ask that because if you don't believe that there's any truth to the allegations of blackmail or that he had kind of a list or that he had reasons to have people hate him, why would somebody kill him in prison? In prison, where I am, they will kill you or they will pay. Somebody can pay a prisoner to kill you for $25 worth of commissary. That's about the going rate for a hit with a lock today. Is that true? No shot, right? $25 to kill somebody in prison? That sounds way too cheap. So that goes to the third reason, which is kind of the mismanagement, yes, or the shortfallings or shortcomings of the Bureau of Prisons, yes, which is a little bit different than my question, which is, do you think there was somebody on the outside of prison? So putting aside what could happen on the outside of prison, who wanted him dead so badly that he would have or she would have, caused him to be killed on the inside? I don't see that. I think, is it possible? Of course it's possible, but I don't know of any reason why, and I don't believe in the blackmail or any of this. I don't think Epstein had a hit on like that. If it is indeed murder, I believe it was an internal situation. Yeah, so you don't have any reason, firsthand knowledge or even speculation. It sounds like to think that he was killed to kind of silence him or to keep him from going public about people he knew about. I don't know because I think that is just part of the story that's been created that started back in 2008, 2009. So what her story is that she thinks he just died in prison because of some random prison fight? Okay. That's the point. Like, I don't think there's value in talking, there's been a lot of, I do not have any reason to, wait. It's the idea that if he didn't die by suicide, that's one thing, but if, to the extent that folks believe that he was murdered to keep him quiet or because of information on rich and powerful people, do you have any reason to believe that's true? I do not have any reason to believe that. And I also think it's ludicrous because I also happen to think if that is what they wanted, they would have had plenty of opportunity when he wasn't in jail. Oh, nice. She's a DGGer. And if they were worried about blackmail or anything from him, he would have been a very easy target. In the time, so we've talked through a lot of time, all the way up through 2009, 2010, and then the time that after Mr. Epstein was arrested. When was the last time you spoke with him? Maybe 2016, 2017. I think the bot permaban me in Kick Chat. Can I get an unban, please? Sure thing, buddy. There you go. Why would the bot ban you? Okay, well that's kind of boring. Wait, does she mention it all in here? No. What is the basis for the blackmail stuff? People say it as if it's fact that Epstein kept stuff for the purpose of blackmail that has ever been substantiated. We don't talk about that in this community because everybody gets super aspy when I bring this up. But there's absolutely zero evidence for a client list. There's absolutely zero evidence for some blackmail list. There's never been evidence for it. It's just a lot of people are really hyper obsessed with the idea that there's some massive billionaire pedophile conspiracy ring where everybody is like trading blackmail and shit on each other. That's why Candace Owens got so obsessed with the Diddy case because people thought it was finally going to be proven. But there's literally zero. There's never, ever been any evidence for that to ever exist, ever. Like, and it doesn't even make sense. Like, why would a guy like that get arrested if he had that blackmail list? Like, it's just dumb. Like, it doesn't even make sense on its face, you know?
The list doesn't exist. So flight manifests don't exist. The surveillance tapes don't exist. The bank records don't exist.
That's not what anybody's talking about when they talk about the list. They're talking about a client list of people who need like little girls ready to fuck or whatever, or little boys maybe. I don't know if they have a gender preference.
That list may not be written down on some nice, cute spreadsheet, but it's in her head. And I wish they would just ask her the simple question. Well, then the people who visited the island, start writing down a list. If you're going to get limited immunity, you better start coming up with a list. And you can verify whether or not President Clinton went to the island. Go ask the Secret Service. There's a reason. The Secret Service is secretive, but they're also law enforcement. And if there was a commission of a crime, they still need to answer questions. They shouldn't be bashful about asking them. And I think they should go to that direction. But
like, God, I hate this topic. Nobody wants to bring this up, but I mean, she does have limited immunity here. She can talk about things to get other people in trouble. It would reduce her sentence. She has every incentive to reveal this. So why wouldn't she reveal it? I mean, the obvious answer is there probably just is no list. That just doesn't exist, right? Like why? There's just not, right? I bet nobody wants to consider that, you know?
I don't buy what she's selling at this point. She is highly motivated to say whatever she needs to say in order to get out earlier. But come on, there's 2 people that went to jail. Only one of them is still alive. And there's nobody else that did anything wrong. And you can't come up with anybody else who did.
What? U.S. seeks to deport Kilmar Abrego Garcia to Uganda after he refused plea offer in his smuggling case. Are we just like sending these people to whatever random fucking countries we can? Immigration officials said they intend to deport Kilmar Abrego Garcia to Uganda after he declined an offer to be sent to Costa Rica in exchange for remaining in jail and pleading guilty to human smuggling charges. His defense attorneys told a court Saturday. The Costa Rica offer came late Thursday and included a requirement that he remain in jail for the time being and then serve whatever sentence he would receive for pleading guilty, according to a brief filed in Tennessee. Well, what would be the point of that? The fuck? After Abrego Garcia left jail on Friday, Immigration and Customs Enforcement notified his attorneys that he would be deported to Uganda and should report to immigration authorities on Monday. Later on Friday, the government informed Mr. Abrego that he has until first thing Monday morning, precisely when he must report to ICE's Baltimore field office, to accept a plea in exchange for deportation to Costa Rica, or else that offer will be off the table forever. His defense attorneys were... Okay. Jesus.
Si se pudo.
What if he immediately started issuing gang orders? He had a Tiger Mafia tattoo on his left shoulder.
Tiger Mafia.
mafia.
Okay. Texas last redrew its congressional map along with the rest of the country in 2022 after the 2020 decennial census. The redistricting approach the Republican-controlled state legislature took that year was a small c conservative one. Was the map they passed an exemplar of partisan fairness? Nope, it wasn't, but it also didn't squeeze out as many Republican seats as possible. Instead, the House GOP played it safe and focused on protecting incumbent House members. That's an understandable enough strategy. Suburban counties in Texas had been drifting left for the past few cycles, and discussions of Blexus were omnipresent. The safe approach worked well enough in 2024. Trump won every Republican-held House district in Texas by double digits, but it left Republicans wanting more. Most of the state shifted right in 2024, and Republicans made huge gains among Hispanic voters. The old worry that the Texas suburbs would keep getting bluer and bluer, eventually taking Republican House seats with them, receded. That's probably why in June, combined with Trump's general willingness to push any norm or boundary for political gain, the White House asked Texas Republicans to start a relatively rare mid-decade redistricting process and draw a new map that turns some currently Democratic seats red. This won't be the last time you hear from us on redistricting. There may or may not be a Nate take coming, but for today, we're just going to focus on the number in Texas and not the fairness or lack thereof of all this. This is from 5 days ago. I feel like the Kilmer case just ends up with us paying this dude $30 million or something, and the only reason they're going after him is because they can't just say, yeah, it was an accident or something. Well, they started doing a bunch of reckless shit. They got caught on doing some reckless shit. They don't like to admit that they've done anything reckless. So I guess they basically just double, triple, quadruple down. For the question was relevant, the new map needs to pass the Texas state legislature. That would only be a simple proposition, but Texas Democrats left the state last week. That's all done now.
I'm joined now by candidate for governor in New Jersey, Mikey Sherrill. Thanks so much for joining me.
Thanks so much for having me. I appreciate it.
Trump gets news he feared over another state's blue state's maps. New Jersey governor candidate Mickey Sherrill talks redrawing New Jersey maps in interview with Brian Tyler Cohen. Okay, boring. Alex Jones says Trump is in a health crisis after noting the size of president's ankles. Oh, we saw the Tim reaction to that. Fuck. Imagine if Trump... Wait, okay, I actually don't know the whole process. If the president dies, the vice president becomes the president, and then who steps up? Do you do another election if there's more than 2 years left? Or what happens in USA if vice president dies? Does the speaker really become... I don't actually know how this all works. In case of the removal of the president from office or of his death or resignation, the vice president shall become the president. Whenever there is a vacancy in the office of the vice president shall nominate a vice president who shall take office upon confirmation by a majority vote of both houses of Congress. Whenever the president transmits to the president pro tempore of the Senate and the Speaker of the House of Representatives his written declaration that he is unable to discharge the powers and duties of his office, and until he transmits to them a written declaration to the contrary, such powers and duties shall be discharged by the Vice President, the Acting President, whenever the Vice President and a majority of either the principal officers of the executive departments or of such other body as Congress may by law provide, transmit to the President pro tempore of the Senate and the Speaker of the House of Representatives the written declaration of the President is unable to discharge the powers and duties of his office, the Vice President shall immediately assume the powers and duties of the office as acting president. Principal officers of the executive departments. Does this just mean all of your cabinet level positions? Wait, could you theoretically coup the president if Vance could get... How big is the cabinet in the United States? How many seats? How many positions in cabinet USA government? 25 members plus the vice president. 15 principal officers and 10 other members. Those are like cabinet equivalent things or whatever. So is 25 the number or is 15 the number? So would you theoretically, you would just need 8 cabinet members on board to coup the president of the United States? Second paragraph. The cabinet does not have any collective executive powers or functions of its own, and no votes need to be taken. There are 26 members, the vice president, 50 department heads, and 10 cabinet level officials, all except 3 of whom would require Senate confirmation. During the cabinet meetings, the members sit in the order in which their respective departments were created. The list being close to the president, which does not have the authority.
Here, the 25th Amendment allows for the vice president to perform a kind of gentle coup. Okay, the president has 15 top-level advisors we will get to later. If the VP can get a majority of advisors to state in writing the president is unable, the VP gets the powers and duties of the office. The president can challenge this, getting a moment to try and consolidate keys to power, but if the VP and advisors reaffirm the president is indeed unable, the VP is acting president and a 21-day countdown clock begins.
Is it a majority of the current members, or is it a majority of the total number? Like, let's say like 10 got fired. Would you only need 3 out of 5 then? Or if 10 got fired, would it be impossible to do it? It feels weird because I feel like if the VP were to challenge the president like this, couldn't the president just fire any of the people that are supporting the vice president on this? I feel like this whole process would be fucked. Jesus.
What happens next is up to Congress. If they do nothing, when the clock runs out, presidential power returns to the president. But if within the 21 days Congress votes with a 2/3 majority that the president is unable, then the vice president is permanently acting president. And the president is still around? Awkward. Obviously, this would be a real delicate maneuver for any VP to pull off, particularly as the president can dismiss their advisors for any reason as long as the president holds the powers and duties of the office. So getting advisors on board would be challenging. Case in point, in 1919, the president suffered a stroke and was mostly blinded and partly paralyzed. Don't worry, no big deal. The president just doesn't want to talk to the public or meet with his VP or consult with his advisors or leave the White House at all for a year and a half. And during this time, there was no move by the VP to declare the president unable. But there might be a way around the VP. The 25th has this line about Congress appointing like its own committee to determine the president unable. But the way it's worded is a little unclear. Does it mean the VP and advisors or Congress committee determine inability, or does it mean the VP and advisors or Congress committee? If the latter interpretation, that means Congress alone has the power to appoint a committee with the power to remove the power of the president unilaterally. But as always with unclear interpretations, were they to happen for realsies, someone might want to weigh in on it. So those are the 4 or 5 ways a president can get removed from office. But one of them is clearly the most popular, so let's talk about what the Finnish congressional homework says about succession. First,
I have no idea what the succession of like Ford or any of the presidents after like assassinated presidents, I don't know what that looked like. I have no clue. Like what the process, the procedural thing was. He literally was about to talk about it. Good. You know what's crazy? There have been no op-eds or editorial statements in major newspapers this year calling on Trump to resign, none calling for his impeachment, none asking if he's medically fit to be in office, not one in any major newspaper all year. True. I can't wait for, if the Democrats do win in 2028, for the onslaught of New York Times and WAPO op-eds of trying to be centrist and fair, like coming down on the fucking Democratic president at a time when Trump can literally just fucking lie about every single stat metric or fire people, like the Bureau of Labor Statistics, just fire people who gives numbers that he doesn't like. It just doesn't matter. That's okay. Wow, JCI, thanks. I appreciate the $50. Wait, what?
President Trump's crime crackdown sweeping the nation. After deploying the National Guard to Washington, D.C., now the White House plans to extend its effort across 19 states, all with the goal of curbing crime and supporting immigration enforcement.
Also, okay, fuck, because the wording is confusing. When you say deploy, in my mind, deploy means you're like sending troops from one place to another. But when the phrasing, when they say like deploy the National Guard in a state, what you're really doing is you're just like federalizing, where the president is assuming control of that state's National Guard and then deploying that National Guard to its own state, right? That's essentially what that means, right? Not that you're sending like the military from DC or wherever the military rests. I don't know where the military is. From like military bases or whatever. You're not sending those people to other states or something, right?
We'll talk to Republican Congressman Pat Fallon in just a moment. Plus, an illegal alien accused of killing 3 people in a truck accident is due in court today. What he's facing as yet another illegal alien, Kilmar Abrego Garcia, was set free. And we're getting new details this morning on the raid of former...
I don't know if he can move the National Guard from one state to another. That would be crazy. I'm pretty sure he can. But that has to do with like state emergencies and stuff. Like you can federalize like all the National Guards and start sending them to places, I think. And governors can also request help from other National Guards too. I don't know what the procedure is there though, 100%. The thing is, like, typically, I feel like the processes don't really matter that much here because like states and National Guard people and the government will try to do what's best for everybody in order to make sure that, you know, people aren't dying, like if they need to send FEMA or the National Guard. The problem is when the president is doing it in opposition to the governors. That's when things get really, really, really fucking weird, which is the situation we've been in this year.
National Security Advisor John Bolton's home and office. So what was the FBI looking for and why? Welcome to Fox News Live, everybody. I'm Kevin Corke in the nation's capital. We begin at the White House just across the road where the president wrapped up a fairly busy week. I think it's easy to say. Lucas Tomlinson joins us from the North Lawn. Hey, LT. Didn't
the National Guard from red states go to D.C.? Am I misremembering? Yeah, fuck. I don't remember what this was over. Was it the recent thing with the D.C. National Guard stuff where like the surrounding people were offering like, oh, have 100 of our National Guardsmen because we're so helpful and...
Good morning, Kevin. We just received some new numbers. Over 2,000 National Guardsmen are this morning patrolling the streets of Washington, D.C. This comes as the D.C. police force we know is over 800 cops short. And those National Guardsmen are coming from a number of states, part of President Trump's crackdown on crime here in the nation's capital. And yesterday in the White House, the president says they could be going to other cities in the future.
We're going to make our cities very, very safe. Chicago's a mess. You have an incompetent mayor, grossly incompetent, and we'll straighten that one out probably next. So I think Chicago will be our next, and then we'll help with the incompetent. And we'll straighten that one out probably next. So I think Chicago will be our next, and then we'll help with New York.
So Chicago and New York, Kevin. Now, for context, last year, the murder rate in D.C. was on par with Chicago and nearly 4 times higher than Los Angeles and nearly...
I feel like these numbers need more context. Like, what does this mean? Is 27.3% of Washington, D.C.'s population getting murdered every year? Wait, what does this mean? What is this a rate of? Holy shit! That's a lot of dead people!
New York.
Next. So I think Chicago will be our next, and then we'll help with New York.
So Chicago and New York, Kevin. Now, for context, last year, the murder rate in D.C. was on par with Chicago and nearly 4 times higher than Los Angeles and nearly 6 times higher than New York, as you can see there. And you mentioned off the top 1,700 National Guard members.
Wait, what? I'm so curious what that picture means. Is it like increases or decreases? It must be. It's got to be something like that, right? Is it higher than the national average?
Sent to 19 states. That's less than 100 per state. The White House says they will be helping DHS with clerical support and other logistical tasks for processing illegal aliens at ICE facilities. Now, speaking of law enforcement, yesterday FBI agents raided the home of Trump's former national security advisor, John Bolton, outside Washington, his home in Montgomery County, Maryland. And FBI agents were also seen in his office, the one he rents here in Washington, carrying boxes of documents, likely searching for classified information. Yesterday, the president admitted he's not a fan of Bolton, who wrote a book criticizing Trump after Bolton left the White House.
I'm not a fan of John Bolton. I thought he was a sleazebag, actually. And he suffers major Trump derangement syndrome.
Now, since returning to the White House, Trump revoked the security clearance from Bolton and also took away his protective detail. And
oh, wait, hold on. They're citing from here. 27.3 per one. Oh. They fucked up with the percentage there. That's just a very funny percentage to have. Jesus. Yeah, that's not. They just fucked up. Whoever made that graph put percentages there when it wasn't supposed to be. That's just funny.
And we've also learned the FBI director yesterday during that raid tweeted that no one is above the law and said the FBI is on mission, Kevin.
Well, except Trump, right?
I said in the new forward to the paperback edition of my book, I think it is a retribution presidency.
Oh, and now this loser got raided.
And that security clearance was pulled after the.
Did you see the JREG blue sky thing? Fuck, where is it? Can I just say, of every website, Blue Sky has the worst URL ever. BSKY, Bisky. What a terrible. If that site fails, I would blame it solely on. Oh, this wasn't even a JREG thing. Sorry, I just read the JPEG at the end. Solely on that horrible fucking domain name. Free John Bolton school walkout, May 11th, 2023 at 1:30 p.m. Spread the message. The date's wrong. Never mind. I thought this was a JREG tweet. You got a free Bolton though, guys.
President returned to office, and that also came at the same time. He had some threats on his life from Iranian officials. Of course, Bolton had a lot to do with that strike on Qasem Soleimani. Kevin?
That he did. LT on the North Lawn. Thank you, my friend. Appreciate that. The president, meantime, calling it a miracle, saying D.C. is safe again after he cracked down on crime right here in the nation's capital. And now that effort is actually expanding across the country. Texas Republican Congressman Pat Fallon is here with us this afternoon. This morning. It is great to have you with us. This is one of those situations, frankly, you and I have to live here. And anything that we can do to make it safer for citizens like us, or for visitors in particular, I think is a very strong move by this White House.
Oh, yeah, Kevin, it's bold action. I mean, consider that the chairman of the police union in D.C. has admitted and shared that they were told to downgrade serious crimes like shootings and carjackings to lesser crimes. And even with D.C. booking the books on their crime statistics, you're 3.5 times more likely to be killed in D.C. than you were in 2012 when a serious crime is committed. And from 2018 to 2023, carjackings are up 550%. So things are out of control. And thank goodness President Trump has taken these, again, bold actions.
Yeah, bold actions. And in particular, when you look at the numbers, I mean, you talk about homicides, none for several days, over a week. I mean, this, again, is the little slow march toward what we should expect in our nation's capital, quite frankly. There's absolutely no reason to expect to get mugged, or carjacked, or assaulted just because you live here. And so I think this is great action. I think most Americans can agree with that as long as they don't have TDS. Meantime, in your home state of Texas, the state Senate there actually passed it.
True, dear leader. Thank you. Yes. As long as we don't have Trump derangement syndrome, of course, we agree with every single thing the Trump administration said. Yes. Thank you, dear leader. Yes.
The GOP-drawn congressional map, paving the way, as you know, for 5 more seats. The president, without question, praising that effort. But I have a 3-part question. Why do it? Could this be a harbinger of things to come across the country? And is that a good thing?
Okay, so that's a great question. All fair questions. Why do it? If you look at, and let's just talk data, and no spin, because Newsom, all Gavin Newsom was good at is slicking his hair back and spinning. So if you take the 5 largest states that are completely controlled by Democrats, which are California, Washington, Illinois, New York, and New Jersey, there are 117 congressional seats in those 5 states. And 93 of them were Democratic seats and only 24 Republican. That's a 79% to 21% ratio. If you take the 5 largest red states, Texas, Tennessee, Georgia, Ohio, and Florida, there's 104 seats. And that ratio is 72-32 for seats.
What are these numbers? If you take the 5 highest states and then compare them, why not just look at all of them or look at the total number of seats? Talk about torturing the data. Oh my God.
69 to 31%. So the Democrats.
I automatically know that it's more even. I know he's lying. You can always know for a fact that somebody's lying when they come to you with tortured data, right? Let's say that you have a debate with somebody and the question is, who's more likely to steal stuff out of the fridge, men or women? If somebody comes to the debate and then they're like, okay, I'm going to argue that women are more likely to steal stuff from the fridge. And the reason why I know this is because if you look at women from ages 14 to 29 and a half, and you look at the top 5 highest states with dairy exports, and you look at the amount of ice cream taken from the freezer in single-family homes, you can actually see very easily that, if anybody's gone through that level of research to get you a stat that's that specific, then there's a good chance that they did the actual research and they realize that the broad data doesn't support their perspective. You can almost just believe the opposite. You're probably going to be right. If somebody's giving you data that is that specific on a topic.
Very good at gerrymandering. In fact, very effectively, because we had 5 million more votes, GOP candidates for Congress in 2024. We almost lost the House. So all this is doing is slightly rebalancing the scales. It's still skewed in the Democrats' favor. So to say that this is a threat on democracy is ludicrous in the absolute definition of hyperbole.
Yeah, and I'm so glad you mentioned that, because if you really get down to brass tacks here, if all the
tortured can be interpreted as necessary to get the real point across, but molestation is never justified more than torture. Wait, what? I don't think I've ever heard somebody say torture the data in a positive way. Usually that implies some kind of p-hacking or every time I've heard it, like torturing data is usually implying some kind of p-hacking or like hardcore cherry picking, I think.
GOP-led states decide to do just what Illinois and California have done. You can see a major swing in the balance of power here in the nation's capital, and a lot of people feel like you have to make this happen now, especially when you consider what's been happening previous elections. If this happens before the midterms, let me tell you, Katie bar the door, the GOP could be in very good shape for the final 2 years of this term of President Trump. Finally, I want to ask you about the raid on former National Security Advisor John Bolton's home and office. The president said he had no prior knowledge of that raid, but you sit on the House Intel Committee, and leadership there said, look, yeah, we were notified. So what seems to be the reason for the raid, and what, if anything, can we expect moving forward?
Well, clearly, there's probable cause. So I want to explain to your viewers what it's like when you handle classified documents. It's not as if they come into our office in the Rayburn building and give them to us. We go to a SCIF, which is a secure area where this classified information is not supposed to leave. And sitting on the House Intel Committee, there's a SCIF that I go to. And even if I want to take notes on what I read, the notes that I take, Kevin, stay in the SCIF. So there is no reason in the world, unless you're the president of the United States that has the authority to declassify, that classified documentation is outside of a SCIF. So we'll find out.
Where have I heard this talk before? That SCIFs are important places in which to discuss classified data, and there's no reason for that data to ever leave SCIFs. Wasn't there an app where there was a big drama thing about attacks on Yemen or something a while ago? Crazy that these guys all seem to know what SCIFs are now. Huh.
In the world, unless you're the president of the United States that has the authority to declassify, that classified documentation is outside of a SCIF. So we'll find out. If John Bolton isn't in possession of any classified documents, he's in the clear. But if he is, he's going to have to face justice just like everyone else.
And there are a lot of people who feel like there were unfortunate leaks coming out of the SCIF on a fairly regular basis during the last administration, and maybe even before that. So we're going to see what, if anything, amounts to much here as we continue the investigations and keep an eye on it from our perch here at, of course, Fox. Thank you, my friend. Appreciate your time today, Congressman. Have a good weekend.
Thanks, Kev. God bless. Take care.
God bless you. Now, with more on the John Bolton raid and what's at stake for the former National Security Advisor, we want to welcome former federal prosecutor Andrew Cherkowski. Andrew, this is fraught with peril, especially if, again, big if, he has some documents in his possession that he ought not.
Well, I think that whoever ordered this raid believed that there is very strong evidence, I think more than even just what the search warrant required, which is probable cause, that there was evidence of a crime inside that home. Probable cause means that there was good indication of it, that it was probably there, and had to have been specified to a federal judge what they were looking for, why they were looking for it, and why they believed that it was still there at this time. And so when you put all of those factors together, I don't think this is just something as simple as, oh, they saw in a book that he referenced something that might have once been classified. Or
I wonder if you were to go through every single politician's home, like lawmaker or cabinet members or whatever, if you could probably find some kind of classified, like retroactively classified piece of information, or what do they call it, up classification, if you could always find stuff like this. I don't know how common it is, but like remember, Biden and Pence both reported finding stuff after the Mar-a-Lago search in their homes. Nothing came of it, but
even that they knew that some time ago, a matter of months ago, that he had something that was questionably classified. This signals to me that in the very recent past, they knew that he had something that was classified or that was evidence of a crime, and they acted on that now and were able to go in and justify that to the district judge.
This is the real question I think many people will ask. Okay, let's say he had something. What, if anything, will ever happen to the big insiders here in Washington? We hear these stories all the time. If you're GOP affiliated or if you're a friend of the president, chances are you're going to perp walk. They'll come to your house with guns a-blazing at 0600. Will anything happen here, do you think? Or is this, again, a situation where a lot of saber rattling, but not much to finish with?
Well, I think that there's a risk with any executive presidency using lawfare to a political advantage. And I hope that the Trump administration, and I trust that the Trump administration, are going to enforce the law fairly and as it needs to be enforced without engaging in specific lawfare, using the standards perhaps even that the Democrats set in raiding homes. But I think that what we're going to see in the John Bolton case is that this isn't a close call. This wasn't something that they went in with just a little bit of evidence. I trust that the Trump administration, after seeing what happened during the raids on Mar-a-Lago and so much more, that there is something very, very solid here, that they went in to get this evidence because there was an urgent risk here and real evidence of a crime. I
wonder, these guys don't get paid appearance fees, right? That would be like unethical. There's no way, right?
Just a matter of something where they're pushing back so that they can try to get even. I think that, and the law requires them to have had real evidence of a crime, either ongoing or having been complete with the evidence there.
Well, this is going to make for a very, very interesting case. And unfortunately for John Bolton, a man who has served his country in a variety of roles, this could really turn out to be very, very painful for him, especially if, again, big if, he is in possession of materials that he ought not be. Andrew, thank you.
Just to be clear also, the federal statute is, it's not just about being in possession of materials that you're not supposed to have. It's about knowingly possessing those materials. So the idea that, yeah, this is... But, I mean, maybe they think they can prove that. Who knows? Bro, should I buy some bets on Gavin Newsom for the 2028 or 2028 Dem nominee? If I put down 10K, it'll turn into 60K. Give me your thoughts, streamer man. Good luck, buddy. Be careful. GeoGuessr music contest drama.
Hey, everybody.
Wait, what? How can GeoGuessr have drama? Also, wait, somebody said Bongers got this question wrong on their exam. Download a foundation GCSE maths paper to understand how bad things are. GCSE pass rate falls again with 67.4% graded 4 or C and above in England, Wales, and Northern Ireland. Final question, final paper, calculators allowed, brah. Town A has a population of 84,000, an area of 7 square miles. Town B has a population density of 46,095 people per square kilometer. Population density equals population by area. Which town has the greater population density? Use 1 square mile equals 2.6 square kilometers. Is this like a trick question? It's just the divided by 7, and so it's 12,000 per square mile, and then you just do the conversion? Or I don't know how many kilometers is a mile. Oh, but it's less than, right? A 5K is 3.1 miles, so a 10K is 6.1. It literally says it. Oh, 1 square mile goes 2.6 square kilometers. Oh, sorry. So is it town B? Is this a trick question, or is there like something weird? Population is 84,000 divided by 7. Okay, so that's miles. I thought it was B2. Oops. Oh shit, wait. No, it is multiply. No. Wait, my brain is getting fucked. Do the conversion first? Oh my god. If 1 square mile is 2.6 square kilometers, then there would have to be... No. This is the foundation in the UK. This is for retards in the UK. The highest you can get is a D. It's divide, you retards. Well, everybody said multiply, so now I'm getting mindfucked. Okay. If we had 10 people living in 1 square mile, and we wanted to figure out how many people were living in each square kilometer, a kilometer is shorter than a mile, so it would be less per square kilometer. So it would be divide. No, I was right. Fuck you guys. I think I was right with my first answer. Fuck, you guys are retarded. Fuck you. Okay. What grade are they in when they're getting this test? Fifth grade, college, middle school. They're 16. It's year 11, the final test before college. GCSE is 1617. Israeli on vacation pulls gun on people in pool and gets smacked. Why are you motherfuckers bringing guns to the pool?
I don't know why. He's just faking it. Just take it out. Oh, he does. Oh, he does.
Wait, how do you know he's an Israeli?
Just take it out. Oh, he does. Oh, he does. Oh, shit.
Go home, base. What is happening?
Not worth it. That shit don't scare me, bro. I promise you.
He's got a gun.
Whoa. Oh, because he stepped into the shadows. You can see the N-word. Never mind.
Why do you bring a gun to a pool?
Run that nigga shit. Get out. Run that nigga shit. Come on, nigga. Kill. Fucking shit. Ass nigga. I'm fucking on us. You gonna fucking pull a gun on us, nigga?
Oh, shit.
Yeah. What's up? Yeah. He gonna blow. Nigga. You wanna pull a fucking gun? He gonna blow.
I know, I saw it. I really didn't think he fucking had one. Hey.
Okay. I have no idea what's going on here. Can you shoot a gun underwater? Can you shoot gun underwater?
This is a gas blowback airsoft pistol.
Will guns shoot underwater? I guess. My bad.
Pool, I do have a piece of steel in the pool to stop the round. So the key for today's video is to make sure the barrel and everything is full of water. That way we have equal pressure. So I'm gonna go under the water now and see if I can get this thing to go off.
Whoa! Oh, it makes the little thing, it makes the patterns that it makes going through the
Oh!
gel
Wow,
blocks.
okay.
Wow.
We hit the steel. Also, a gun going off underwater. Just a 22. Wow.
Wow.
I felt that all over my body.
Wow.
I don't know about some of these bigger ones.
Wow.
That is weird. Well, that up next is an American classic, the 1911 chambered in 45 ACP.
Wow.
Now, I have a 230 grain 45 ACP full metal jacket. I am very curious about this one because it on the bullet.
Okay. Judge blocks Trump from cutting funding over sanctuary policies. We'll see about that. Newsom calls out Newsom derangement syndrome. Newsom derangement syndrome.
Very well. He's an incompetent guy.
Oh yeah, I like how Trump just cusses on news networks. Wait, are there regulations for cable TV or is it just broadcast? Like, are you allowed to say the F word and stuff on Fox News on cable? I feel like it was the airwaves before that were regulated. I don't know if like the cable stuff, if their licenses are, they probably are, right? I would imagine
The
so.
governor's incompetent. You know, Gavin. I know Gavin very well. He's an incompetent guy with a good line of bullshit, and he doesn't get the job done. The governor's incompetent. You know.
Did you see the NTSB update for the immigrant trucker guy? Wait, meantime.
Well, good afternoon.
Ah! He smacked him. Oh, my left
And
ear.
thank you for
Loves
your
this.
interest.
Yes.
I'm Tom Chapman. I'm a board member with the National Transportation Safety Board.
Thank you.
I'm joined today by one of our lead investigators, Scott Parent. I want to begin by extending our most sincere condolences to those that were impacted by this tragedy. On behalf of all of us at NTSB, we offer our deepest sympathies and our most heartfelt condolences to the families, friends, and victims of those impacted by this tragedy. We're grateful to, and we want to commend, the law enforcement and first responders personnel who participated in the emergency response to this crash, as well as the hospital staff responsible for treating the injured. Yesterday, NTSB launched a team to investigate the Friday crash of a motor coach near Pembroke, New York. The crash resulted in both fatalities and serious injuries. Our investigation is a safety investigation. It is
oh wait, this is something different. New York State Police on Saturday identified the 5 people who were killed when a tour bus rolled over on the... And wait, I thought this was about the... Why did you link me this? Fuck you. Uh-oh. Okay. All hail Chairman Trump with his glorious 10% purchase of Intel. The Socialist Republic of America enters a bold new era of government-run business. True.
Trump leaning in right now anyway, taking 10% of Intel. So we know that he's a fan of communism, or at least state-run capitalism. So this document came from Third Way, which is a think tank founded by Clinton administration people. They know a thing or two about winning elections and winning a wide swath of voters from across the aisle. But I do generally feel like words matter, but deeds matter more. And Donald Trump did teach us that, you know, if that tape can be locker room talk and be acceptable to a lot of people, then you can probably speak a little bit out of turn and still get away with it. And Democrats really need to lean into the results argument. What are your policies that are going to make people's lives better? Jerome Powell out there today giving you plenty of fodder, right? GDP going down to 1.2%. It was 2.5% last year. Why? Consumer spending down because of the tariffs. Ride on that. Don't talk like a weirdo. We're going to win.
Listen, you sound like the vice president also said his free advice to the Democrats. No, he said free advice to the Democrats was don't talk like a crazy person. So you guys do agree on something.
Jerome Powell about how Donald Trump is sinking our economy.
He's not, but good try.
Okay. We'll be back with the...
It's okay. It's more patriotic to pay higher prices. Don't care about this.
Having to come up with something new every hour, which you have managed to do. Thank you. Huge respect to you for that. But you were on with former Assistant Director of the FBI, Chris Swecker, this morning, who didn't like how this looked. You know, he said, we just don't want to see the FBI weaponized. Just because you have the authority and discretion to do something like this doesn't mean that you should. And when people say that under the Biden administration that the DOJ was weaponized, let me remind you that there is nobody the Democrats dislike more than Merrick Garland, because he slow-rolled everything. I mean, Jack Smith wasn't appointed for years after January 6th. And people feel that every single case that we had, the strongest of which was Mar-a-Lago, by the way, fell apart because Merrick Garland actually didn't do anything.
You didn't weaponize it soon enough? Is that what you're saying?
No, I'm saying that we didn't have a weaponized DOJ, and the proof of that is, and the proof is...
Wait, I am so fucking retarded. Wait, how did I never know that? What is the Pisco cope for that? I can understand the investigations take time and stuff. Jack Smith wasn't even appointed? Until 2022? End of 2022? Wait, why? Why did that appointment take so long? I feel like that should have been like almost like a day one thing. To heal the nation? Jesus.
Further, that J.D. Vance is sitting down with Kristen Welker from Meet the Press, and listen to how he's talking. This is not an independent DOJ.
Have Destiny and Pisco talked about this multiple times? Yeah, we've talked that investigations take time, though. That's generally the train we run. I guess if I did bring this up, I don't remember it. I didn't consider the fact that he wasn't even appointed until November 2022, because that means that's when he would have started his investigation of putting stuff together, no?
We're in the very early stages of an ongoing investigation into John Bolton. We, not Pam Bondi and the DOJ, We. If we think Ambassador Bolton committed a crime, of course, eventually prosecutions will come. There's broad concern about Ambassador Bolton. We know that Donald Trump has no respect for co-equal branches of government, an independent judiciary. He just wants loyal foot soldiers. That appears to be what he has gotten.
Wow.
Now, of course, the left and the right,
This guy looks like he got shocked by electricity in a cartoon.
their allies in the media wasted no time melting down over the news and accusing the Trump administration of weaponizing the justice system, seemingly forgetting how they treated President Trump over the last 4 years. Take a look.
Your reaction to hearing that John Bolton's home has now been searched by the FBI?
Well, Kate, the timing of this is chilling.
The fact that the FBI director, goes online and tweets about this or whatever form of posting he did, the fact that the vice president of the United States jumps on that suggests that this is a politically motivated gesture.
It does feel like this is yet another norm broken in a real serious way.
What I'm concerned about even more is that this is somehow political retribution, that the FBI has become the Federal Bureau of Inquisition.
We know that the president has embarked on a pretty extensive effort to go after his perceived enemies, to, the
he said he was
infamous
running on
revenge
retribution.
tours. That's right. I am your retribution. That's what he told his supporters. So there's all kinds of reasons, I think, to look at this with a jaundiced eye.
House Judiciary Committee Chairman Jim Jordan is here now with more. Thank you so much for joining us, Congressman. I don't know if you were able to hear that. Nicole Parker did a very good job of sort of laying out exactly what the safeguards were going into this raid, but also pointing out the differences between the raid we saw this morning and the raid against Mar-a-Lago. Can you expand on that?
Yeah. No, I think Nicole's exactly right. I don't know how this went down today, but you're right. The press wasn't there. There wasn't all this, the big scene that it was 3 years ago this month when they raided President Trump's home. I think the big takeaway, though, is think about what we've learned in the last 4 weeks. Because of the good work of the Attorney General, of Director Patel, of ODNI Director Tulsi Gabbard, think about what we've learned. We learned that Jim Comey and his chief of staff were leaking classified information. We learned that a whistleblower has come forward and said...
We still don't know what they were leaking, right? They keep saying that Comey was leaking classified stuff based on those released documents, but we don't know what he leaked, right? We have no idea.
Adam Schiff was leaking classified information. We learned from Tulsi Gabbard that there's another whistleblower who said that they changed the intelligence community assessment. They changed the report to say something different back before President Trump even took office, between Election Day 2016 and Inauguration Day. And now we learn that, and that change, by the way, Charlie, was done by Brennan and Clapper at their urging. The report was changed back then. And now we learned today that John Bolton mishandled classified information. So you got Comey,
we don't even know that yet, but okay.
Clapper, Brennan, Bolton, all out to undermine the president. That's the story here. You mentioned the deep state a few minutes ago. That's the deep state in action, trying to sabotage the guy we the people put into the Oval Office. That's what they tried to do. And now you got good people running these federal agencies who are looking at the facts and just going to the office. That's the deep state. Bolton. All learned today that John Bolton mishandled classified information. So you got Comey, Schiff, Clapper, Brennan, Bolton. All.
Comey, Schiff is a senator, right? Clapper and the other guy?
Out to undermine Bolton, mishandled classified information. So you got
Clapper,
Comey,
Bolton?
Schiff, Clapper, Brennan, Bolton.
Brennan was the CIA head. These are all of your agency heads. Trump can literally remove and appoint and do other things to these people at all points in time. How is the deep state your top level offices that the president has the most control over, arguably? What? Okay.
Out to undermine the president. That's the story here. You mentioned the deep state a few minutes ago. That's the deep state in action, trying to sabotage the guy we the people put into the Oval Office. That's what they tried to do. And now you got good people running these federal agencies who are looking at the facts and just going on the facts and bringing that forward. This is not political retribution. This is accountability, and it's exactly what the American people voted on when they put President Trump in the White House.
True.
Okay, and so I think it's so interesting that those forces operated throughout President Trump's first term. They continued to operate for the entire 4 years of the Biden administration. Have they been neutered now? Have those forces been silenced? Have they been broken?
Well, I do think it was interesting what Greg said as well, the arrogance of these individuals. We actually deposed Mr. Clapper and Mr. Brennan last Congress on a different issue. Remember, they also signed that now famous letter, the 51 former intel officials who think they're so much smarter than us hillbillies in flyover country, signed a letter saying the laptop wasn't real when they knew it was. The FBI had the laptop. So we deposed. But yeah, these guys are all think they're better than us. Now, President Trump has taken their security clearances, which I think is a good first step. And we'll see what happens. We know that Attorney General Bondi is looking into the issue Tulsi brought forward, the changing of this intelligence community assessment in 2016 and 2017. I think Mr. Brennan said things to Trey Gowdy in the committee hearing. I think he may have said things to us in our deposition last Congress that don't make sense. So I'm glad she's investigating that. And I'm glad Mr. Bolton, if he in fact kept classified information. You know what this sounds like too? This is what Joe Biden did.
Wow.
Joe Biden kept classified information at his home because he was writing a book. We had that hearing with Special Counsel Hur, and we asked Mr. Hur, and there were 8 million reasons why Joe Biden kept that classified information, because that's the advance he got for the book that he was writing.
Hur, remember, Hur was the special counsel appointed under Biden to investigate himself. We got more damning stuff from our Democrat-run Department of Justice against Biden than we did against Trump. But somehow it was weaponized against the Republicans?
It looks like John Bolton may have been doing the exact same thing. So God bless these great people who are now head of these agencies who are getting to the facts and bringing it forward. And if people need to be indicted, that's going to be up to the Attorney General's office, the Justice Department, and I have complete confidence in them.
And of course, we also know that the only reason that Joe Biden wasn't charged is because he was A, president, and B, he was too mentally incompetent to stand trial for this.
That mental incompetence, I think I've heard Pisco say that line too. That's just said by people that have never read the Her report. That was not Her's takeaway from that. Her's takeaway was that he didn't have the proper mens rea when they were speaking about state of mind there to have committed the crime. Because remember, for classified material, you have to knowingly retain information that you know is not supposed to be retained outside of a secured area. That's what the mens rea for that crime is. Her did not say he was too mentally incompetent to stand trial or whatever. That's bullshit. That's just a line that gets repeated by people that quote like one sentence from that. When her is talking about the mind state or his mental state of having committed the crime of the retention of that classified material. Jeanine Pirro, then a weekend host on Fox News, told the chairman of the Republican National Committee in a September 2020 text message she was determined to aid President Donald Trump and the Republican Party despite the network prohibiting on-air personalities from political involvement. No way. Really?